The following is a hockey podcast out of Vancouver and Surrey, British Columbia. It'll only consist of a lot of puck talk and even more BS, or in actual words, banter and satire. Enjoy, and as always, go Canucks go.
Is it time to send Elias Pettersson down the I-5, baby?
You're Locked On Canucks, your daily podcast on the Vancouver Canucks. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, welcome to another episode of Locked On Canucks. My name is Trevor Begg, sports reporter for Daily High Vancouver, joined as always by my brother, Kyle Bowen. On today's episode, we'll talk about the Thatcher Demko update, some crazy stats with this, and is he done with the Canucks forever? We'll also touch on some other news and notes around the team, but first we want to start with this. Shane Wright, in the news, as reported by Dave Pagnotta and Elliot Friedman, as someone that the Kraken may be willing to trade, okay? Looking for a top six punch in their lineup. You know who one of the best top six punches in the NHL used to be? That was Elias Pettersson. And we're maybe just a little bit removed from that. But man, oh man, let's just start with this. Are Patrick Allvin and Jim Rutherford going to call up their old friend, their buddy, Jason Botterill? I mean, those three were once, three peas in a pod, and now maybe, Kyle, they can strike a deal that would finally ignite the rivalry between the Seattle Kraken and the Vancouver Canucks.
I don't know about this, Trevor. And you know me. I've been, get Elias Pettersson out of here for a long time. Like, at least a year. For real. I crossed that line. I want a culture change. And I want him to be successful somewhere else. Quote me on that, Trevor. So when people call me a loser and people call me a bully, you can just play that clip. It is what it is. Sometimes you break up with somebody who's perfect for you, but they're more perfect for somebody else. And as somebody who reads a lot of Deepak Chopra and is a Findu, that's being a good human being. Sharing is caring, okay? Where am I going with this? Trevor, I don't know, though. You really, okay, can we, the ironic thing is this guy's name is Shane Wright. Right. How many times has this management duo, who Matt Takaris just called Dumb and Dumber, for real? I saw that clip on Twitter. I don't think it was AI. Like, how many times have those two got things wrong over the last 12 to 24 months? They're like on a generational run, like 12 to 18 months, just generational run of being bad at making decisions. We'll talk about the Demko thing in a couple minutes, but that's another one. These guys spent like almost $500 million a few months ago, and everything's just blown up. All in all, though, do you really want those two trading Elias Pettersson to Seattle for Shane Wright? And again, I'm on the wagon, on the other side of the wagon. I'm crossing the Rainbow Bridge or whatever it's called. I moved on from Elias Pettersson, but something feels so wrong about trading Pettersson are the Kraken going to win the Stanley Cup before the Vancouver Canucks after they make this trade and we trade for Shane wrong?
Okay, let me set the bar straight. So how you doing? How you doing? In the comments saying he'd rather keep PD for Wright, talks about the contract, and talked about it like if it's a 1-for-1, it has to be a bigger haul for PD. And I completely agree. Like if you're looking at this trade, there's no world where it makes sense to do it 1-for-1, right? I know Wright's younger, but obviously it hasn't gone that well from at the NHL level. Look, I think he's in a bad situation in Seattle too, with a young organization that's struggled to really develop prospects. And now he's stuck behind playing freaking Chandler Stevenson, like one of the worst free agent signings over the last 5 years. So it's a bad situation for Shane Wright in Seattle. But the trade can't be 1-for-1, right? Look, Shane Wright has struggled defensively in a sheltered role. At least Elias Pettersson is playing pretty well defensively against the top competition every night. Like Elias Pettersson is a better player than Shane Wright.
Yeah, but
how much more, Kyle, can you extract out of the Seattle Kraken? I guess that's where I want to start. How much more can you extract out of the Seattle Kraken if you're doing a Wright for Pettersson trade? Could you get a late first round pick? Because Seattle does have 4 first round picks in the next 2 drafts. But I think that's like the maximum of what you could extract out of Seattle if you're doing a Wright for Pettersson trade is Wright and one of their late first from Tampa for Pettersson.
Okay, well, again, I might be Shane wrong again. I've been wrong many times. But if I'm Seattle, I'm like, take the 4th overall pick from a couple of years ago, aka Shane Wright, and I'm not giving you anything else. If you want me to take Elias Pettersson, who's like a good second line center who's averaging 55 points, is getting paid $11.6 million. And oh yeah, he's pretty good defensively, but he's not perfect. He's not as good as he was defensively a couple years ago. Like, we're talking about probably a minus 20 player. Like, it's not like this contract that Elias Pettersson has based on what he's done on the ice and based on all the drama, for real. Like, based on him having no personality. Like, what is this guy? Like, on paper, it's like, what is this guy bring your team? It's so uncertain that I'm not going above and beyond in a trade package to get that guy on my team. Like, the risk is the contract. The risk is that he's the next Jonathan Huberdeau. And I think Shane Wright, who had almost probably like 50 points last year, 40 points or whatever.
Yeah, 19 goals, 44 points. Yeah.
That's last year. You know, I'm not giving up more things for Elias Pettersson. If like I'm giving up the former 4th overall pick who happens to be a center who was like a half a point a game player last year. I'm not. Like, that's my final offer. I just feel like Elias Pettersson's situation, I guess in Vancouver, we're trying to like over evaluate it. I feel like I know for certain that like teams are not going to go above and beyond to get him on their team. It's going to be like an offer that they they'll try to win. I know every team wants to win the trade, but you get what I'm trying to say? I just think that like Elias Pettersson doesn't garner like desperation or an extra 1st round pick.
Yeah, like I said, I think that's the max the Canucks could get, but I tend to agree with you, right? It's, again, I think maybe I dive a little bit deeper and I look at his overall game. I know you're looking at the points. You got the emotion in there, bro. Look, I still think Elias Pettersson is a good player. He's far superior to Shane Wright. But like you said, the contract is a big risk if he doesn't step up his game in another market. I think at the end of the day, Pettersson, if you're trading him, is still better suited to a contending team where he can comfortably slot in as a second line center. That team is not the Seattle Kraken. Look, if we're thinking more about a Seattle-Vancouver trade, maybe I'll throw one other thing at you. To me, it's the idea of maybe taking on Chandler Stevenson, the worst contract in hockey, and trying to get some assets out of that. I mean, we've seen other teams do this as well, right? I know the one coming to my mind right now is the Montreal Canadiens with Sean Monahan, but we've seen other teams take on guys with bloated contracts for assets to try to build up the pool. I don't know if it's like a Pettersson for Chandler Stevenson and maybe get some draft picks out of that. But for Seattle, like if you're going to, try to reset the team and push for the playoffs or whatever the hell they're trying to do there, I think getting Chandler Stevenson off your team, who's 31 years old, making $6.25 million a season, who can't play at even strength, would be a big benefit to their team and probably some motivation for the Canucks if they could get some draft picks out of Seattle, who again has 4 first-round picks in the next 2 drafts here, Kyle.
I mean, that's making me jealous too, for real. That last statement, and yeah, you're the smart guy. You actually watch way more hockey than I do. Maybe I'm just looking at the box score. I just did for Chandler Stevenson. He's probably got like 7 less points than Elias Pettersson, 6 less points than Elias Pettersson over the last 2 years. Like, that's how far this guy's fallen, And a couple years ago, Chandler Stevenson, like for Vegas, like he's a fun player to watch. Like he's got that dog in him. Maybe he got paid and checked out or whatever, and misses Vegas, or maybe maybe there was a reason why he was really good in Vegas. Wait, did he also win a cup with Washington too?
Yeah,
like, he might have, right? Like,
so, yeah.
He's been a quality player for a little bit, and quote unquote has a bad contract, but Elias Pettersson has
his new nickname,
a worse contract. Like, but yeah. Anyways, to answer your question, like if you could get like 2 firsts and Chandler Stevenson or something like that, like fuck. That was one part. Okay, wait, hold on. Yeah, I'm thinking about it. I can't believe we just like locked on. I can't believe we just said that sentence out loud. You know what I'm saying? And I actually choked up and swore because I thought that was a good. That's bro, Trevor. How are you gonna tell me that Seattle has 4 first-round picks over the next 2 years, dude? Like already,
it was one deal where they got it, man. It was that Bjorkstrand Gord trade last trade deadline with the Tampa Bay Lightning. So, I mean, the fact they got 2 firsts for Bjorkstrand and Yanni Gord, that's some pretty solid work. So, let us know in the comments. Is there any world in which a Wright for Pettersson trade makes sense, or even something else involving Wright or Pettersson between the Canucks and the Kraken, even if it's not, a direct trade involving those two. On the other side, let's touch on Thatcher Demko. Has he played his last game with the Vancouver Canucks? That's coming up next year on Locked On Canucks. Before we get back to the program, let's shout out our friends over at Game Time, baby. There's nothing like being near the ice during the hockey season. Game Time, man, Game Time doesn't know that I've been to 13 games and I've watched 2 Canucks wins. But anyways, the speed, the hits, the atmosphere, it's unmatched. Watching at home is great, but being in the building is a completely different experience. Man, oh man, I was even joking with our Daily Hive Oilers writer today. He talked about how he watched history over his past 3 games with Bouchard's hat trick, the 6-point night, Ekholm's hat trick. I said, hey, man, I've seen history too. I was in the building for the 11th straight loss, man. Franchise record. Who doesn't say that dreams don't come true? Whether you're checking out the Canucks, another NHL team, maybe even the Super Bowl or FIFA World Cup, check it all out on Game Time and take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDON for $20 off. Game Time, baby. Go check them out today.
Okay, we back doing this on Locked On Canucks, and that's talking about Shane Wright. Fixing everything. The Vancouver Canucks. So my name's Kyle Bauman. That right there is the second best dad in the world. He's going to actually have to leave a little bit early today because he's being the second best dad in the world, and he doesn't want to pick up his daughter late for school. Trevor, again, I'm not a father. Give me 8 years now. Got to wait till the Canucks are good again. That's the bare minimum. When you show up late to pick up your daughter, because I feel like you might have done this once. Like, how heartbroken were you? Because I've seen this script many times in, real life where your aunties and uncles, like they make that mistake and it's like the worst thing in the world.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I haven't been late by maybe like more than a minute, and I felt like so bad, like every minute rushing there. But the day you're thinking of, I think I called you. I was covering Canucks practice. So I was downtown. I was doing a little article after practice, and then traffic hit. And I'm like, on Google, I was supposed to be like 10 minutes late to pick up my daughter. And I'm like, I'm not the second best dad in the world. I'm the second worst dad in the world. And yeah, then I, maybe had some traffic infractions that I, didn't get caught braking, and boom, bam, made it on time, man. Shout out to the HOV lane.
I like that.
Yeah.
Allegedly, Trevor, say allegedly, please.
Allegedly. Hey, I allegedly did it for my daughter. So yeah, it is the worst feeling in the world. To be late to pick up your kid from school, man. Just don't want to be that guy.
It actually isn't though, Trevor. The worst feeling in the world is being a Canucks fan. Okay, well, I didn't finish that sentence. Okay, I didn't finish that sentence, but we have to talk about this again. Thatcher Demko's getting hip surgery. That's according to the Canucks and their medical staff and Patrick Alvin. Who knows? He's probably getting foot surgery for real. This medical staff can't do anything right. It's actually pissing me off for real. I heard today that Marco Rossi had another setback. Now, is it a real setback, or is like Adam Foote doesn't know how to read injury reports and getting every single detail that he gives to people wrong? I don't know. Let's hope it's that and not the setback. Not gonna lie though, I'm assuming it is the setback because, like, who is Aquilini hiring and Jim Rutherford hiring to diagnose and ail these players? Because to be ultra specific with Thatcher Demko, if I'm looking at everything around him, ironically, like the Mikheyev stuff from a couple years ago, the Tanner Pearson stuff, the Forbes stuff, the Bluger stuff this year, now it's Marco Rossi hit a setback. Like, there's probably 10 more cases before all these guys since Demko's been here. Like, I think I can confirm this, okay? Allegedly. I'm pretty sure Thatcher Demko, if he was on other teams, he wouldn't be this hurt. Now, I've said it so many times. He is injury prone. He's made out of glass, and even a paper cut could knock this guy out for 20 weeks. But I am starting to think, like, if he was like, injury prone, this was the worst place he could have came to embark on an NHL career. And yeah, he's been paid a lot of money and this and that, but his career is destroyed. His career is destroyed. I hate to go there, but this is Corey Schneider all over again, isn't it? Like Thatcher Demko's career is destroyed. And I think he's never going to be a guarantee. He's untradeable. Yeah, he's super talented, but this is a guy that you can never rely on.
Yeah, I mean, look, he's 30 years old now, right? He's going for hip surgery again after having, double hip surgery as a prospect. And, I found this quote from he was chatting with Botchford back in 2016 about the hip surgery and the effects of it before he had surgery. And he said, quote, there were definitely a lot of limitations. It's not just the hips that hurt. Your back goes out, your groin starts hurting. So I think Thatcher Demko's saying basically, like, when your hips aren't working, nothing else works. And what have we seen over the past couple of years, Kyle? I mean, look, he's had groin injuries, he's had knee injuries, he's had back injuries, like he's had it all. And I do wonder, again, I'm not a doctor, nowhere close to being a doctor, but when you have double hip surgery at that young of an age, and then, you're playing, your profession is something that's, arguably there's something more demanding on the hips than being a goaltender in the NHL. It's fair to wonder, like, how long that's going to hold up for. And the question for Demko is not that long. I mean, I guess he got 10 years between surgeries, but look, he's missed an extended stretch of time in every single NHL season except for 21-22 when he played 64 games. Even that seems like a bit of a mirage. So, look, he is falling to that Corey Schneider category, that Matt Murray category as well, right? Of guys with a ton of talent who just couldn't get over the injury bug. And it's extremely unfortunate for the Vancouver Canucks. Even more unfortunate now that they doubled down on him and they gave him, a 3-year extension. And Kyle, we talked about it at the time, like, if you wanted to look glass half full, it's like win-win. He's either going to be in the lineup and he's going to be healthy and he's going to, be a difference maker, or you're going to stick him on LTIR and not worry about it, right? Unfortunately, he's leaning towards the latter right now.
And yeah, okay, cool. We don't have to worry about his salary cap against his cap hit against our salary cap or whatnot because of LTIR or however those things work. But at the end of the day, like it pains me to look at this team rebuilding and understanding that they can't get anything for this guy. And how does a team rebuild? And we traded Miller and Hughes, and some may think like, that is good enough. The way I look at that is like, out of those two trades, we have 1 first-round pick, right? We're supposed to be rebuilding. We just heard that Seattle has 4 first-round picks, Like, how many first-round picks, how many draft picks does Calgary have in the first 2 rounds over the next 10 years? No, for real. And we traded Hughes and Miller, arguably like the best assets on the team. We still have Pettersson and Demko, like part of that veteran committee, Besser as well, who, teams would move off of to get more first-round picks. And it's like, they're getting no first-round picks for any of those guys, which, again, makes me believe that I'm not getting married till I'm 46 years old because I got to wait till this team wins a cup / is good again at least. Where am I going with this? Trevor, you said that like double hip surgery is hard to recover for a goalie, right? Dude, I'm 32 and a half years old. I can't even drink double doubles from Tim Hortons anymore. No, for real. And so much of Demko's, how do I say this, willingness in the game of hockey, also his like instinctual nature to always be great and do whatever it takes to like make his saves. Again, such an athletic goalie. Like the fact that this guy gets hurt all the time and still is like doing the splits. You know what I'm saying? Like he's balling out, trying to make everything happen, trying to make every save when he's on his game. Like based on how that's always going to be the way he plays hockey, I think that like it's pretty inevitable that he's just going to continue to always get hurt. And it sucks. It sucks. I feel bad for him because I can bitch and complain about like the whole being a Canucks fan part of this. And some people don't want to empathize with the fact that we shouldn't feel bad for Demko because he's like a bazillionaire. But it's ironic that he happens to be the only guy that wants to be here, or like that bleeds it or shows it. And people could be like, oh, maybe what he's talking about, Pettersson wants to be here. He's been signed for 8 years, all that stuff. Like, again, we've been looking for any hope or any like connectivity with this fan base. At least Demko's openly just so proud to be a Canuck for whatever reason. You know, he feels like one of us. He's a fan of the team. And this is the guy that has the worst luck ever. And yeah, all of it just sucks, Trevor. And I don't know, again, you got to go. Like, just answer me this. Like, we could spend minutes and minutes and minutes talking about Thatcher Demko, but when are we going to literally have deeper and more meaningful conversations about Rutherford and Alvin and how dangerous, yes, dangerous of a line they're walking. Like this, I know they made the Quinn Hughes trade, which pretty much signs them up to be here for a long time because you can't fire those two after those guys made the biggest trade in franchise history. But today was the hammer, the nail in the coffin for me. Like these two are bad right now. They're bad. I cannot vouch for them. I can't smoke that 2024 crack anymore. Like these two are whack. They're whack.
Well, hey man, that may be a topic for tomorrow's episode because the Canucks are in a dangerous position with Rutherford and Mr. Hybrid Retool in charge of this team. As much as they're nice dudes, especially Alvin, he's a solid guy, but the GMing part, it's been a bit of a struggle of late. Kyle, I want you to answer me this on the other side. Do you think Thatcher Demko has played his last game for the Vancouver Canucks? I'll do the ad read for you, buddy. Excited to see what we come up with on the other side here on Locked On Canucks. All right, before we get back to, let's shout out our new friends over at Quo. Like the status quo, baby. New year, new systems. This is the time when a lot of us look at the messier parts of how we run our business and think there's got to be a better way. And there is. Streamlining your communications is one of the quickest upgrades you can make. That's why today's episode is brought to you by Quo, spelled Quo, the smarter way to run your business communications. Because when your team is reachable, organized, and communicating in one place, you listen in Canucks management. You're not just working cleaner, you're creating more opportunities to connect with customers. Your whole team can call and text from one shared business number with Quo, so nothing gets missed. And it works right from your phone or your computer, and you can even keep your existing number. It's no surprise Quo was rated the #1 business phone system on G2, trusted by more than 90,000 businesses from solo operators to growing teams. Make this the year where no opportunity and no customer slips away. Try Quo for free, plus get 20% off your first 6 months when you go to quo.com/lockedonnhl. That's quo.com/lockedonnhl. Quo, no missed calls and no missed customers, baby.
All right. See you later, Trevor. Okay, we back doing this, and that's talking about your Vancouver Canucks. Everyone do us a favor, hit the like button, support the show. Dire times, and honestly, we probably deserve a lot of dislikes right now since the team sucks, and I can't afford therapy, and I've been the Grinch, but I didn't steal Christmas. Like members of this hockey team did, and Rutherford and Alvin are guilty for, again, stealing our joy because they can't get anything right. And as a fan of this team, I guess it's taken me this long to say it. It is what it is. But I have no trust in what they're doing because everything is falling to shit. And them signing Demko in July, it was a risk then. And you want to give them props for like maybe getting ahead of it and having like Demko on a silver platter to Quinn Hughes. And, they did whatever it took to have the small runway, but figure out a way to keep Quinn Hughes prior to the hockey games being played. And I understand why some decisions were made, but at the end of the day, some of this had to have gone right, and none of it has. And the Demko thing is a nail in the coffin. They signed him too early. They probably, what happens if Demko is like a Vezina caliber goalie? Like, is he making that much more than $8.5 million this year? I don't think so. And he wants to desperately be a Canuck too. Like, you could probably get him to take like the same amount of money, even if he exceeds expectations and is walking into a UFA type year. Like, goaltending is just one of those things that's known across the whole league. He's always had an injury history. And nonetheless, if this year was going to be successful or not, you're probably getting him at the similar deal. But now, Thatcher Demko, like, this is your guy. You're going to have $15 million in between the pipes over the next couple of years. Like, the Archer Shelov's part of this, too. I know he hasn't been the best goalie in the NHL this year. But they moved off of a AHL playoff MVP who's on a playoff team right now for Pittsburgh, probably adding to the good vibes, too. It'd be nice to have good vibes, nice guys in the dressing room here, guys who connect with the fan base. Again, you know what I'm saying? Shelov's one of those guys. Quirky dude, but he has personality. Yep. Nope, you got to get the guy. Or keep the guy, or again, Mr. Canuck or Mr. Injury Prone, whatever it is. And it just hasn't worked out because now we're going into more time where the guy who wants to bleed blue and green is not in that room. He's not talking after games. He's not being a leader, and he's recovering. And it sucks for all parties involved, more so for Thatcher Demko. But I'm telling you, this is a dark moment for Canucks fans too. Because it's another thing. It's another embarrassment. It's another thing that they got wrong. So let me ask you this before we read a ton of comments. Like, how much faith do you have in Rutherford and Alvin? Am I out to lunch for saying that they have arguably been the worst tandem in management since July 1st of 2024? Anyways, comment. I love this comment from Pupacero saying, I wish Luongo would come here. I don't think he will, though. Being in a management position is more demanding, and he's not like a player where he can return to his fam in the offseason. Yeah, I get what you're saying, but, Luongo's already somewhat in a management position. Well, he is with the Florida Panthers. And he's learned a lot with the best GM in hockey, right? Mr. Zito. And Luongo, he knows it. He's the number one goalie. He wanted every start. He knows it too. Like, sure, he's won back-to-back Stanley Cups as an assistant GM or whatever he is with Florida, right? Director, player, person, or whatever it is. I'm sorry, I'm not a Florida Panthers fan, but again, yeah, he's won those 2 Stanley Cups, but he's a number one goalie. He knows that he's just a small piece to, like, how significant of an accomplishment that they pulled off. And Luongo may take that as a shot, but at the end of the day, again, that guy's an uber competitor, used to start 75 games a year. I'm pretty sure he knows his role in all this. And, he wants to be a number one. Like, I don't doubt it at all. This guy who has experience also GMing, some World Hockey Championship teams for Team Canada. Like, Luongo wants to be a GM. He does. And how beautiful would it be if he came back to Vancouver to ironically save us? It'd be another version of the Trevor Linden hiring from way back when. Again, this fan base, not only do they need hope, they need a character to love on this team. And again, it's not R.I.P. Thatcher Demko, but the guy that was blue and green the most. Like, again, he's hurt. He's not there. And who knows? As Trevor, asked me before the break, like, was that Demko's last game as a Vancouver Canuck? It isn't. This guy's working his ass off to get back for September and be there, or maybe in October and November. But I don't know. I don't know if it's ever going to come back for me, and that's me having belief that Thatcher Demko will be healthy, thus making him like a core piece of this team. Like, until like he can play 100 straight games or like be there for a full 2 seasons. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can't make that guy a big part of the operation here. Super talented, but it seems too part-time-ish. Okay, and this team needs full-time soldiers. And again, Demko, Luongo. There's some poetry there. Next comment. Dan Jardine saying, I have very little confidence in management getting max value for our players. I think they'll probably draft okay. I mean, Willander looks like a good player. They drafted him. Lecker-Mackey looks like a good player. They drafted him in the middle of the draft, right? Braden Coots makes the team out of camp, plays for Team Canada. He looks like a good player. Like, I'll give them some kudos, right? But even then, they're not like slam dunks. They're not like David Pasternak's, right? Like, that's not evidently clear when it comes to like hitting grand slams in the middle of the draft. Albeit, again, Tom Willander, there's something special there in my opinion. All in all, though, like, if that is your strength, then it's got to be, and we'll see this fairly soon, but it's got to be operation get so many damn draft picks. Like, that's the only thing I want. That's the only thing we need. And what was that stat? Like, correct me if I'm wrong, but is this the first time the Canucks have 4 picks in the top 60 in franchise history? Like, isn't that crazy as a hockey nerd for you to like believe a team has like gone past the second round 3 times in their franchise history? You would think that team at various points in this timeline of theirs that's over half a century long would, have a lot of draft picks at some points, at the various draft points, at various like late June markers where, again, you're picking players. You would think that a team that historically sucks wouldn't have to wait 55 plus years to have 4 picks in the top 60 of an NHL draft. But here we are. 2026 is brand new. And, I can still continue to beat the dead horse, but let's be a little positive there. At least that's brand new. And we got that. And I think there is a chance that we get like one more in the top 60. I think if this team does the right thing, though, they should have 3 more. They should have 7 picks, like Pettersson, DeBrusk, Garland. Like, move them. Speaking of the Pettersson thing, too, like, how about the tendonitis thing from a couple years ago and talking about our team doctors? Like, now I'm starting to believe Elias, like, I'm connecting some dots. Maybe I got to be kinder to Elias Pettersson based on where, like, this separation started. Again, the injuries and the tendonitis and nobody else disclosing injuries but Elias Pettersson, and the tendonitis. Like, yo, this guy just don't got the dog in him. He should be able to play with tendonitis, blah, blah, blah. He was dealing with our doctors, though. You know what I'm saying? So maybe I should be a little bit kinder to him and do some more research, because this is not an easy place to be injured in. You're not really well taken care of. This is the problem with the generation, right? Nobody wants to be a good doctor anymore in Vancouver. Everyone wants to be an influencer, right? Next comment. Pupacero saying, ever since Mike Gillis left, the Canucks have drafted decently well. I'd like to forget about you, Levy, though. I think you Levy was a Benning guy, though, for sure. Oh, yeah, but I get what you're saying. Remember Mike Gillis, again, revolutionary GM when it came to, like, player, professional development. I'll say that. But, man, the amateur scouting department that he built, absolute trash. Last comment. This one goes to Garrett Moss saying, wait, what are you saying, Kyle? You don't trust management that signed an injury-prone goalie for 3 years. They signed Slow Besser. They didn't make trades at last year's deadline. And they fed off Miller like a calf on a teat. I don't know what that means. But, yeah, they traded Miller for Philip Hedl. Again, another injury-prone guy, and Valentino Martini. And, yeah, they traded a third-round pick to help Edmonton and get Evander Kane. Yeah, like, again, something's going on. I don't know what happened here. There needs to be a deep dive on everything management related with this team. What are you guys doing? ZB Nuck saying, wasn't it a 4th to Edmonton? I think you're right on that. And regardless, like, nothing's been going right for the last couple of years, and to ironically end this thing off with what we talked about at the top of the show, like, this team cannot be trading for Shane Wright, right? Because do you think they're going to be getting the Shane Wright thing right? Or maybe there's some poetic justice there. Who knows? But at the end of the day, I've lost all trust in Alvin and Rutherford. And Roberto Luongo, I'm praying for you. I guess I'm praying for us. Come home, strong bone. Anywho, my name is Kyle Bowen. Hit the like button again. Support the show. One left to Trevor Baggs, second best dad in the world. Doing his thing. Go check him out at the Daily Hive. I did write in my Substack over the weekend. I posted the link in the Discord. Once I do another one, I'll put the link back in the bio. Speaking of which, our studio wrote a children's book. It's coming out in a couple months. All the illustrations are done. Sign up for the mailing list down below as well. Anywho, that was Locked On Canucks, your Canucks every day. One love to the Don'tos Art Lab for giving us the space to give you the West Coast bias. And peace.